Hello and welcome to the third time. Is it third or fourth?
Fourth.
Fourth. Oh dear, we've been doing this for so long. The fourth time with Count Jackula, where we're discussing another genre of horror movie. Jackula, explain yourself.
Greetings, Fright Nights. I'm Count Jackula from the planet Dracula, where bad movies stalk the night.
Do you have an embassy on your planet?
We do.
Earth embassy.
It is a fully stocked embassy. It has both a dry and a wet bar and a bordello out
What
back.
drinks do you get in a dry bar?
What drinks do you get in a dry bar? Mainly those made with dry ice and the vapors of a dying sun.
Oh, good.
I think we should go there on my Easter break.
You should. You absolutely should.
You can have it.
The bordello is largely complimentary. Although, of course, you do have to, the young ladies and boys there have to, they have to be willing, but they usually are. They're Draculons. They
Join us for our complimentary bordello.
Yeah. It's all complimentary. Just be respectful. I mean, they are trained in the dark arts, so, probably wouldn't want to cross them too bad. But, by and large, they're willing.
It would certainly be interesting to go to a bar and for you to drink a lot and for me to drink not at all on a completely different planet.
Absolutely.
So, honey, what are we discussing tonight?
We're discussing sort of a twofer right now. Hauntings and possessions. Now,
There's a lot of crossover.
yeah, Omega and I, a couple of days ago, we saw Annabelle, and that's a haunting story, and it was shit.
Don't
You have a better
believe
one?
the hype. The only good part of it is when they have, like, retro Doritos in the actual retro bag. That's not a good part.
Retro Doritos.
Yeah, because it takes place, quote-unquote, in the 70s. So he brings her home some Doritos.
Scary.
And it's like the original Doritos.
You know the guy that we recognized from Annabelle, and neither of us could place him?
Yes, the guy who looked like the guy from Cheers.
Yeah, that was actually Dr. Roger Fleming from The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra.
Oh, okay.
Aliens from outer space.
Really? So that guy eventually got into a big release Hollywood movie. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Well, he
several
has-
of
Pretty
them.
awesome. I like him. He was great.
He had a
He was
few-
great in both those movies, both those Lost Skeleton and Cadaver movies.
I've
Was he also in the Screaming Foreheads?
Yeah, they usually use the same actor, and
Yeah.
but they also did a haunted movie as well. I forget the name of it. God damn it! It was like black and white. It was a parody of like the old Dark House, that sort of thing.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
It was good. I remember it being really good. I just can't remember the name. A
Little less
Dark and Stormy Night. That was it.
there we go. All right, hold the phone. No need to comment. Dark and Stormy Night.
It was made at the same time as The Lost Skeleton Returns Again.
But yeah, I think, and again, I'm not as horror versed as you guys, that there's a lot of crossover between ghost stories and the possession ones.
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely haunting. There are some key differences. One of which is that the classic possession story is actually a male narrative. It kind of stands in contrast to the slasher story, which is largely a female narrative. By and large, there are exceptions, because while
like Haunting in Connecticut.
yeah, like Haunting in Connecticut is an example where it is more about a woman, but a possession story is usually about a man.
Yeah, but it was her son that
A
died.
woman is usually a woman's usually the one possessed.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
The woman's usually the one possessed. It's usually the man that has to like embrace the feminine metaphors. Like he must use his feelings, or he must conquer some sort of emotional trauma in order to deal with the thing that is possessing the woman he loves.
Let's throw a priest out the window.
Yeah. Or a matter of faith. A matter of emotions, instinct. The things that are in traditionally thought of as woman things. The movie Witchboard puts a really fine point on that, because that one really is all about, hey, dude, if you don't get in touch with your feelings, you can't save your wife, and because you didn't get in touch with your feelings, your best friend is now dead. But it's also got this weird love triangle because, like, the wife is kind of cheating on the guy and all that stuff. Yeah. It's
Maybe
it's-
I don't
it's a good
want her to
movie.
be unpossessed. Do you ever think about that?
Yeah. There is one, however, there is a haunting that does both. Or sorry, it doesn't do both, but there is a haunting movie that does what the possession tale tends to do, which is The Changeling.
I haven't seen that.
I didn't see that,
it's
but I
really
was
good.
going to, and I heard it got really good ratings. So.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. It's all about a man who goes into a house and he becomes convinced that there is a ghost that is trying to communicate with him. And it's the ghost of a boy in a wheelchair.
Is this the Clint Eastwood film?
No. It's not Clint Eastwood.
It's not the one with
It
what's her
is
face, right?
George C. Scott.
Okay, because Clint Eastwood, he directed a film called The Changeling, I think.
Wasn't it with Nicole?
Yeah, no. He did.
That was
that Changeling is about an actual event that happened in Los Angeles. It's not a supernatural horror story at all.
Okay, because
it is horrifying, but it's not. It's not about ghosts.
Okay, I hadn't seen it, so I was like, is that the same one?
Yeah, it's really good. It stars Angelina Jolie.
It was written by...
Yeah, but there's another one done in the 70s. Yeah. There's The Changeling was done in the 70s, and it stars George C. Scott. And it's all about him and his discovery of the ghost of this boy and why the ghost is so angry.
See, now that makes me want to see it. If it's like from back in the day
good.
and it's also good.
Oh yeah, super good. Like if you watch it, you'll be like, hey, this is like a lot of other movies. Oh, this is why they did that. Much like The Exorcist.
See, I saw The Exorcist when it came out as a digitally remastered one. And the most horrifying thing that happened in it was when my friend threatened to go full Italian on this girl who was talking on her cell phone during the film. And it was so my dad, I told him that, I went to see the digitally remastered Exorcist. He goes, oh my gosh, what'd you think of it? When that came out, people were passing out and throwing up and stuff like that. And I said, well, Dad, there's this real scary part, right? He goes, oh yeah, which part was it? I was like, well, so they're in the hospital, right? The mom and the doctor, right? They're in the hospital, yeah? He's like, yeah. And they're talking about the kid, right? Like, what could be wrong with her? And he's like, yeah. And they go out in the hall, right? And he goes, yeah. And I go, then both the doctor and the woman light a cigarette in the hospital. Ooh. And he's like, stop fooling around. And I was like, whoa.
See, I didn't see The Exorcist until later on because it was banned in the UK.
What? Really?
Until 1999.
Well, that's true, because you guys can get away with that over here.
Yeah. It was one of the video nasties, wasn't it?
Possibly, I don't know. But it's just some films get banned over here, which is just odd.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I love it. It's one of those movies that for a long time I was convinced I had seen because I had seen the television cut. That television cut don't show you shit. That I actually like sitting down and watching like the uncut movie. Holy crap! I was like, holy crap! Why? I've never seen this movie. I thought I had.
Well, in the UK, the banning was so ridiculous that between 1999 and 2002, we finally got releases of Straw Dogs, Deep Throat, Last House on the Left, Clockwork Orange, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Salò, and of course The Exorcist. But of course, Uncut Evil Dead wasn't released until I believe the DVD came out.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's one of those things where for all of America's faults, like, we do have that free speech that does help quite a lot, when we let it.
Eagle crying against the American flag.
Yeah. From sea to shining sea.
America, you guys. I ate Kraft macaroni and cheese for dinner.
Yeah.
I did. I found it in Tesco for £1.50. But then I'm so bad because I wouldn't eat it at home because I'm like, it's bullshit. I never eat that. But then so I had a pork chop, and so I trimmed the fat off of it, and I sautéed that with onions and garlic and peppers, and then I added some of the European cheeses that I had in the fridge. So even when I was trying to be lowbrow.
I totally get where you're going with that, because every time I go to an Asian country, I'm like, oh man, I got to go to a McDonald's. Yeah. At no other time in my life, I'm like, oh man, no, McDonald's, that's the joint. We got to go.
Yeah, you always miss the weirdest things whenever you're abroad.
Yeah.
Like deodorant. Do you know what they do here? Do you know what they do? They use spray like it's 1957, or the roll-ons like it's everyone's first puberty discussion. That's what I have to say about that. Actually, you know what? I do have a good example of a film that I saw that I really did like that fits this, and actually two of them. One was El Orfanato, and the other was The Others.
Orfanato?
El Orfanato.
The Orphan.
Well,
Oh, The Orphanage.
Yes, but there's another The
yes.
Orphanage, and when I tell people that, they're like, "Oh, this movie." I'm like, "No, the one by Guillermo del Toro," and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
well, that's."
produced by Del Toro and done by the directors of Julia's Eyes. Yeah, that movie's great. The Orphanage is great.
I had to go see it at the Ritz in Philly because it wasn't playing anywhere else, and I went on a Tuesday night, and the place was empty except for me and 3 Hispanic drag queens, and that was an amazing experience.
Yeah, that sounds like the way to see that movie.
But I saw it in Spanish because there was no dub option. But my mind did that weird thing where I remember seeing it in English, even though that didn't happen. But I kind of had to rush the cats upstairs so I could turn off the lights so the kid in the mess didn't get me for like a week.
Yeah, The Orphanage is really good. Like, that's another one where it's actually a woman's story. That's another one that breaks the mold. Yeah, what was the other?
Guys, you should totally see it, but don't blame me if you.
Yeah.
The others had Nicole Kidman.
Yes.
And the kids.
And Christopher Eccleston.
Yes.
Yep.
For like a hot second.
Yeah, like Doctor Who, he comes in and he's gone.
But how many people must have been really confused by that? Because you got British people, but they were occupied by the Nazis, and how many people did not realize why that was not, why that actually makes sense?
Well, I had to Google it.
No.
Because I had to.
Like, to me, it made sense to me. Like, I got it right away.
Well, I didn't know that there was an island that had been occupied, so I actually had to Google that. Because I went to go see it with Sam, and he was like, "Oh, come see this movie." And so I looked it up online, and I was like, "Wait a minute, the Nazis?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, this island, right?"
Yeah, but the occupation of the Channel Islands is actually not that well known even over here. It's like we find it like, what? And we see pictures, World War II of like Nazis and like, with Union Jack places and all. It's not that well publicized over here.
There's another movie that shows.
I saw Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I know what's up.
I love that movie.
Bedknobs and Broomsticks was set in the mainland.
Doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
No, okay, Nightmare Fuel. That part at the end where all of the suits of armor like deactivate scared the piss out of me when I was small. Because it goes near when they all like kind of fall. I'm like, oh no, like corpses.
They re-released Bedknobs and Broomsticks with deleted scenes edited in there with inferior quality, and some of them have been dubbed by people who don't sound anything like the original actors, and it's horrifying.
They should have just got Angela Lansbury to come back and do stuff.
Oh, jeez.
But a bunch of the actors are dead, so they're like, we're just going to dub people in there. We're not going to give them the option to look at the original version. So I have a copy of the DVD, but I never watched it out of spite.
Well, the American cut did not have The Age of Non-Believing, or The Age of Not Believing, the song, but the version showed on the Disney Channel did.
That's the British cut.
I remember that. Yeah.
Because it was always in the cut that I always saw.
I like the song about Portobello Road.
Portobello Road.
Exactly.
Portobello Road.
That's how I got into Cat Stevens, because... Yes! And then they just, everyone dances and buys mystical tomes and,
Yeah. It was... every time they got to that point in Harry Potter, like, that's what I thought of. I was like, yeah.
I didn't even make that connection, and now it's there forever.
Yep.
Of course, if they remade that set now, they'd have to change it to Camden Town.
Oh, well. That would be a good for a reboot, except what would you use, ISIS? I guess you'd have to reuse the original story.
Yeah, it's kind of needs the Nazis.
Yeah.
Although there is still a Portobello Road market, though.
Well, that's how I got into Cat Stevens, because he has a song called Portobello Road, which is nothing like the Disney one, but I thought it was a cover. And so I downloaded that album. I'm like, this is not good, but the rest of these songs are.
Oh, Cat Stevens.
He's all right.
Oh, man. We should probably get back to...
Yes, but anyway.
Haunting and Possession movies. There's also the, in my opinion, one of the great granddaddy of haunted house movies, which is The Haunting, the original Haunting, based off the Shirley Jackson tale.
Oh, the good one.
Yeah, the good one.
Which was the remake that had Liam Neeson in it?
The Haunting.
That was the bad one. That was The Haunting, and that sucked. That sucked donkey balls.
I saw
hated that.
I saw that
That's
in the theater.
That's one of the 5 movies that personally pained me.
The best part of that movie was when she slaps Liam Neeson, and my friend Brendan says, "You can't hit Qui-Gon Jinn." And the woman in front of us looked back, and Eric Ross was laughing a lot, and she goes, "Shh." And then Eric Ross got this look on his face. He was an army medic, and he scowled at her, and she left the theater. That was the best part of that movie.
Now, the best part of that movie is when Owen Wilson gets beheaded.
Yeah. I could not stop laughing when that happened. I was like, well, Owen Wilson's gone.
Like, okay,
The person with star power is dead. Bail.
everyone else apparently loved The Conjuring, but as far as I'm concerned, it is not only shit, it is like, it is basically, as far as I'm concerned, like a side quill to The Haunting, because you've got haunted thing involving children, shit movie, same woman who's in both, and I forget her name, Frances something.
Oh wait, the girl that played the bisexual girl?
No,
that's Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah,
Oh.
the woman who
Really,
she
that
was she was sort of flirting with.
I liked that because she wore a flannel, and I was like, hey, baby. And that was kind of cool. I was like, a girl can like
girls. The woman who played
girls.
the main character in the remake of The Haunting also played the mother in The Conjuring.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like obsession with children, shit horror movie. You two belong together.
You know, a horror movie that's supposed to be all about family, quote unquote. You know, like quick, call her.
Actually, we saw a preview when we went to go see Annabelle for this movie called The Babadook, which I was like,
yeah,
it looked
so bad.
looked really stupid. Like the audience was laughing, but then I don't know. I saw a thing on The Guardian that said, "Oh, it's going to be like the most, if you see one horror movie that's conceptually amazing, see this." And I was like, I don't know. I have my doubts.
I'll go to see it, but I saw a lot of terrible horror movies with Robin the Minion. Usually found footage.
It seems to be about a possessed pop-up book.
Yeah, it's like this looks so fucking stupid.
Yeah. Oh God. One of the things I find is kind of fascinating about haunting stories is that actually another one we should probably talk about, Poltergeist.
Poltergeist is brilliant.
I saw that when I was way too little to see that.
Poltergeist is basically a kid's first horror movie.
Yes.
I saw it when I was 7.
Quick, don't stare in the TV, otherwise you might get sucked into the giant wall vagina. Yeah.
Bobby, what's a vagina? Nothing you need to worry about.
I love how everything in the Poltergeist is completely filled with vaginal imagery. And it's all about birthing. It's amazing. Every time I watch it, I'm like, they got away with this. They got away with this. Nobody noticed. Nobody fucking noticed.
You know what?
Brilliant.
There seemed to have been a lot of that in the 80s because... So, remember when they remastered E.T. and the agents, instead of holding guns, were holding cell phones?
Oh, God.
And I was like, how could that possibly be? Whatever. But then I thought to myself, the real thing that I would be concerned about my child watching is the part where his older brother says to him, "Shut your mouth, penis breath."
Penis
in, like,
breath?
the first
Yeah.
5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, well. I'm
Couldn't
like,
say
hey,
that these days.
kids say all kinds of awful things. I was totally into it. E.T., great movie. Not really a possession flick though.
No, it made me think of it.
Yeah. I remember at one point, in one of the other ones, we were talking about Session 9.
Yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed that up until it kind of fell apart at the end. But then you said that it wasn't intended to be that way. They had to reshoot it, so I guess I'll get into that.
Yeah. There was actually this whole subplot of the fact that there actually was someone else at the asylum. There actually was like this one crazy woman who was doing half the stuff that was going on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was one of those. That was a really cool. In the DVD, there are a bunch of those deleted scenes, and that subplot is actually really cool. The problem is that it all comes down to the last shot of that. That's what brings it all together, and that shot is unintentionally hilarious. It is the funniest damn thing you've ever seen. I recommend it. I recommend watching it. Get the DVD, go like original ending, watch it. It is the most hilarious thing
Now
ever.
I want to see it because I watch it on Netflix, so...
Yeah. No, get the DVD, watch it. It's hilarious.
See, that's what I want to see more of. I want to see more of, hauntings that hauntings that have an actual, like, scary reason to happen. And I know that the asylum has been so done, but I think it could be done in good ways.
I remember seeing a film, but it was about an asylum, but they had it that there was a bunch of people burned to death inside it, and so they were pissed off, which is still not much of a better reason, but I remember the film being quite good. Surprisingly so. And it might have starred Jeffrey Combs.
It might have starred him. You're very.
I've seen a lot of films with Jeffrey Combs.
It's terrible in the
And
night,
each
you
one
guys.
is brilliant.
She hugs her pillow and she's like, "Oh, Jeffrey Combs." While I turn away, bitter tears in my eyes, and say nothing.
It might be Death Tunnel.
Death Tunnel? There's a movie called Death Tunnel? Holy crap.
There's
How have I not seen this?
There is definitely a movie called Death Tunnel because I own it in DVD. I'm fairly sure that's when I got it as one of these ones that I expected to be bad, and it wasn't.
See, you guys would know, and I know this is kind of a sensitive subject, but I figure that eventually somebody will make a horror movie out of this. Has anyone made a horror movie set in Eastern Europe featuring the ghosts of Holocaust victims?
No, I got the feeling most people would...
Because, eventually, in human history, somebody will.
Oh, definitely. It's probably considered too much of a bad taste right now, but it will happen, yeah.
I could see it if it was done well.
There's been sort of things like that. There was an episode, I believe, of The Twilight Zone where an elderly guy who ran a camp went to one of the camps, and the ghosts of the dead basically put him on trial and executed him.
Yeah. Yeah, there was another one where an old... one of the capos. It was actually a night gallery about one of the capos who is forced to. He's basically a racist, anti-Semite. Obviously, he's a fucking capo, and at the end, he is praying to God to put him in this painting in this art gallery that he loves, but instead he's put into a painting of Jesus Christ, so he suffers on the cross eternally.
Wow. Imagery.
Yeah. Not subtle, but I loved it. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah, God. Hey, I'm sorry we're bouncing all over the place here, dear listener. But yeah, thinking about the Orphanage again. The movie's really good. You should check it. Everyone should check it out. It
really is. And I gave it about a few weeks, and I looked up online, and there's so many different fan theories about the ending. So many.
Really? Because to me it seems very. Should we non-spoiler this? Should we spoiler it? Should we?
Okay, not spoilers. I felt like because of her mental state that it could have happened and had a very rational explanation. But then I could also see where it had a very supernatural explanation, or where it could have had a very surrealist and absurd kind of it never happened kind of thing.
My feeling is that the end of the movie is literal.
Yeah.
That is definitely my feeling. Okay, for those of you who don't know,
my feeling
the Orphanage is. Oh, go on.
My feeling is that the cowboys represent aliens and everything else represents
even though I gave it to you on DVD.
Yes, I still haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know, it is a Spanish horror film, which is all about
amazing.
How they totally own Gibraltar. That's it.
No, it is not. Would you stop?
But a husband and wife that own a big mansion so they could raise their child in it, and they find out that the mansion used to be an orphanage where a bunch of children went missing and died.
No, she knew that because she was from that orphanage, and she got adopted.
Oh,
and
that's
so
right.
They had adopted a special needs child who had a health problem, and they came back specifically, she came back with her husband and bought the old orphanage to run as an actual care home. Because it was never made clear that she was one of Franco's orphans, but I always suspected she was. But
it's a movie. Let me put it this way: it's a movie produced by Del Toro about Spain. Franco's gonna come up,
Yeah, so she actually had good intentions of making.
One of the children that was taken by their parents by Franco working with the church, or a different group of Franco's orphans.
They never said. I got the feeling that, with the exception of the one who was the one woman's child, that they had been orphaned in a war or some circumstance.
Oh, okay, in the Civil War, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, every bit of imagery. I mean, even when nothing scary is happening, even when the ambient soundtrack is just fine, it just has such a feeling of tension. And when the ending finally comes, and you're like, "Oh fuck!" and a friend of mine saw it and said she would never see it again. And she said that when you get that final moment of reveal towards the ending, she said, you can tell the way someone reacts if, one, they're a parent, or two, they've ever lost a child.
Oh, I believe that.
Because when that moment came for me, even though I don't have children, I have never reproduced, I still went, oh my God, you know?
Yeah. It's super. There's a super shocking.
No spoilers, but yeah, totally
Yeah.
go watch it, and then don't blame me if you have to rush up the stairs with the cats for a week.
Yeah. They just be like, I love you. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Just
Yeah.
thinking about it, so anyway.
Yeah, that actress is in another movie, I believe, all done by that same pair of directors, called Julia's Eyes.
Oh.
Which
Oh,
is
heard
a
of that.
Spanish. Yeah, it's a Spanish Giallo film, and it was done in like
Jello, like Jello pudding pop?
No.
Giallo.
Oh.
Giallo.
Yellow.
Basically like Italian pulp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The editor,
Yeah,
the new film by Astron 6 is a Giallo film. Well, love letter to Giallo, like Father's Day is a love letter to... They do different genres.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a moment.
Yeah. Giallo can many. You've seen Argento films, right?
Yes?
Yeah. Well, it was more for Omega's benefit.
No.
You haven't seen? Oh my God.
I know, I have a
Crap.
lot to do, you know.
Yeah, you do. You gotta see the Argento films. They're great.
There's a lot of films I have to show her, but, you know, we're watching through Lex, you know, every time I'm over there, we just have to end up watching 4 hours of QI. It happens.
It just happens. It has to. Well, you know what? After Lex ends, we should have... Because you know how Nash is always, you know, bothering Tara because she hasn't seen all these movies? Well, we should have a series called Omega Watches What You've Already Seen, or something like that. Where so it's like, I can't believe you never saw this movie, so I watch it with you and probably drink or something. I don't know. We'll work that out.
Well, next time Robin's up, which hopefully will be before Christmas, we're going to hopefully do the next marathon, which is going to be the Final Destination movies.
Final Destination, a quick spoiler alert, Death did it.
That's the one thing I know. I remember seeing the trailer, so I basically know the premise.
Yep, Death itself is the killer.
See, I just wanted to find a set of films that I've got all of the films for, plus it's not enough to be insane like all the Hellraisers or something, but it's not as bad as like the Twilight, because we've done all the Twilight ones and all the Police Academy. So I'm like, Final Destination.
What you mean Twilight as in like, you know, the New Dawn?
Oh yeah.
All that bullshit.
I was safely in America for this part.
Me, Robin the Minion, and Cy the Writer in one day watched all 5, I believe it is, of the Twilight movies. And then a couple of days later we came back and watched Twilight, the porn version. The gay porn version.
Yeah, that definitely an improvement. Like, a God, watching those movies, oh God, watching those Twilight movies, like, because I'm like, well, you know, this is obviously for girls, you know, for the, you know, gals. I should appreciate it on that level. God damn it. I've never been so close to, like, outright misogyny as watching them Twilight movies.
I went with some of the booksellers I worked with, because I worked down in D.C. at the time, to go see New Moon. And we went with the express purpose to see what it would take to get us kicked out. And one of the girls I worked with, her husband had his own business as a silk screener. So he made us team Vitari, whoever the bad guy vampires were. We had a shirt that says Team Vitari. And so...
Voltari.
That's it.
Voltari, yeah.
Thank you. And so, like, all these teenagers like, oh my gosh, you're so awesome. Can we, like, get our picture taken with you? And we're like, we're trolling. Like, do you not realize that we're trolling? And, like, every time somebody elderly came on the screen, we're like, oh, he's so hot. Take it off. And we got
Take it off, mustache dad!
We got shushed by 12-year-olds. And every time the vampire leaned in to kiss her, we coordinated 1, 2, 3. Don't cry this time! We didn't get kicked out, though. We tried.
I tell you, watching...
Don't wince! Yeah.
I tell you, watching all 5 of the Twilight movies, each of them over 2 hours long, in a row, with alcohol, that was an interesting experience.
That sounds like watching all the extended cuts of fucking Lord of the Rings, but it sucks.
Basically.
Well, yeah, but you said with alcohol, you weren't drinking, as I recall.
I drink a little bit, usually.
You drink, like, a thimbleful, you're like, I'm so drunk, oh my god.
I never say I'm so drunk, I just don't drink often.
Dear listeners, you've heard the New Orleans story, so I'm not going to tell it again.
But back to haunting movies. One I've got a soft spot for, but I fully recognize that parts of it are full-on shit, and other parts of it, the whole thing is really fucking stupid, and that's the remake of House on Haunted Hill.
I don't think I've seen that, or if I did, I forgot it.
Wait, The House on Haunted Hill?
Yeah, the remake, with Jeffrey Rush playing Vincent Price.
Yes. Yes.
And with Jeffrey Combs as the villain.
Which was the one that had Eddie Murphy in it?
That was the Haunted Mansion.
Okay.
Yeah, based on the Disney ride.
All right.
There
was something about that.
This one is, if you spend one night in this haunted house, well, this is insane asylum, because it's so very, late 90s, early 2000s, you will get $1 million. And Jeffrey Rush is like, I'm playing Vincent Price, but I'm also pretending to be John Waters at the same time. Woo-ha!
Oh my, that's quite a...
Yeah. Well, you find me a movie where Jeffrey Rush is not fabulous, like...
And you
can't do it. You can't do it.
You got Famke Janssen is fucking this doctor guy in it, but then, she kills herself via electroshock machine just via suicide.
Wait. So they're staying in an abandoned asylum.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the classic stay in the house, get $1 million scenario.
I understand that, but not only is there still power to this place,
yes,
the electroshock, that doesn't work that way.
This place has been abandoned since the 40s when there was a massive fire that killed everyone.
And actually, because I know that someone's probably going to put out in the comments, electroshock is still done. You have to sign a waiver, and it has, I know this because I'm a psych student now, it has actually shown some help for people who have significant catastrophic long-term depression, but it does have the side effect of taking a toll on your short-term memory. So, electroshock is still around, but it is not practiced the way that it used to be.
Well, in the film, ghosts have started killing people, and Famke Janssen is found dead in the electroshock thing, having been fried. And then she's brought back to life by this doctor, and it turns out she was actually fucking him, and she either faked her own death, and she became indistinguishable from death, and everyone thought it was a ghost, or she really killed herself just so the doctor could wake her up. It makes no fucking sense. But the film's really stupid. But it has a James Marsters cameo earlier on. But
James Marsters?
Yes.
Yep.
And
old Spike the Vampire, yeah.
It's got this wonderful sequence where this woman played by, I believe she was the first Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat. She's recording stuff for this. She's gonna put this video together, and she's gonna be like, "I'm gonna make a documentary of this. It'll be great. Do. I'm so pre-YouTube." And then
she said,
she's in the basement where all the ghosts are. This wonderfully non-burned basement, because the whole place was shut down and never opened again after a fire in 1947, which killed everyone.
But their electroshock still works.
They're like, yeah, everything's fine. But she's looked down there, and then she walks into this operating room, and a doctor and two nurses are doing some vivisection on this guy. And she can see it through the camera, but she cannot see it through her own eyes. So you have a wonderful sequence, which is done it's done in a fairly complicated way, where she is looking through, comparing both, and then she's raising and lowering the camera perfectly in time with them, and then the people, they start looking over at her and kind of approaching her, and you got some wonderful timing between the take when they were there and the take when they were not there. It's a well done sequence. But the most interesting thing about this film is its sequel, Return to House on Haunted Hill.
Return to the House on Haunted Hill.
Why would you go back?
This one is wonderful, but only in the Blu-ray, because this is a choose-your-own-adventure horror movie.
You were telling me about this when we were in England.
Yes. They stop the movie there is a basic version, which you get on DVD, and you can watch on Blu-ray. And there's the other version where every so often, about 7 times during the film, they stop and they ask you what the characters should do. And I can attest to this. It is possible to end the film 40 minutes early.
Nice. Yeah. They were trying to do that. They're trying to do the Frank Castle thing. Because the original, House of Haunted Hill. Do they live? Do they die? The audience votes. It
was great. I love that. And if I could think of a way to do it on Blip, I would totally do a review of that as a choose-your-own-adventure review.
You could do that, but you'd have to do it on YouTube.
You'd have to YouTube it. So I'm like, I can't be bothered. That's too complicated. But
honey, I'm sure if you ask somebody would help you out with that.
But oh yeah,
you can do that right the show.
Return is crap, but it's still got Jeffrey Combs, which is awesome. And Return makes no sense even in the context of the first film, but it's still got Jeffrey Combs, so that's awesome. But the Choose Your Own Adventure part is brilliant. I want to see this used in other films. I want to see, like, Lord of the Rings, Choose Your Own Adventure. Does Aragorn get killed or not? Does Aragorn, kiss Legolas and suck his cock? This would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Escalated quickly.
Well, I mean, hey,
it's Legolas.
All I'm saying is that there's a reason Dragon Age got really gay. There's an audience for that,
Shut up! I play a lesbian in Dragon Age.
My current playthrough of Dragon Age...
still technically gay.
That's true.
My current playthrough of Dragon Age, I'm playing a human noble guy who's got blonde hair, and has been having relationships with 3 characters at the same time, constantly breaking up with one, going on with another one, and then restarting it and breaking their hearts.
So dishonorable.
Who has in the space of one hanging around in camp, session, haven't had sex with 2 of them 3 times between them, and also has gone to the brothel enough times to have sex with, like, pretty much everyone there, Male Canary, male dwarves, women elves, all of them.
I was saving for Eldon. I don't know what you were up to. Apparently you know what you were up to.
The next step, the character's going to marry the queen.
There you go. There you go. Become King's consort.
See,
oh, man.
I guess the best part about doing this series is because I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of horror when I was real little in the 80s when it was seminal, so I only really saw it, over at other people's houses or, during sleepovers. So now I'm like, oh, there's all these movies I really want to see.
The 80s sleepover, man. Holy crap. So you see all kinds of crazy crap. That's how I saw Toxic Avenger.
We saw Gremlins when it first came out on VHS, and I couldn't fall asleep. And unfortunately, I didn't realize that the family had a house cat. So around 2 a.m., and the lights were on, like when the lights were on, I became convinced that I could hear breathing from behind the entertainment set. And I became convinced of this. And about 10 minutes later, you know how cats all of a sudden decide they need to be in another room right the fuck now?
Yeah.
Cat decided it needs to be in another room right the fuck now, and it tore out from behind the entertainment center. And I swear, if I die 10 years early, that's why. I was sure it was a gremlin.
It was literally it was a literal cat scare in real life.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
We are running a little bit short of time, so this is going to be the last of this series. So, Jackula, for the last time, where can people find you, should they look?
People could find me on thecountjaculashow.com or on thatguywiththeglasses.com. I tend to update on the Fridays.
Ooh.
So Fridays is generally a good time to find me over there.
Let's go and leave good comments and upvote. Be one of the good people.
Yes.
So, honey, what did we watch this week?
We watched yet another Peter Capaldi Doctor Who, The Mummy on the Orient Express.
I was so ready to hate this. I was really, really ready to be like, and another thing! And then it was good.
Yeah, Orient Express in space with a killer mummy, and with a punished name, it just lends itself to being terrible, but somehow it ended up okay. Or ended up very good. It's much better than the title deserved.
Yeah, like after last episode I was like, yeah, this is gonna suck. Oh wait, it's actually good. But yeah, I mean, and even Clara was a little bit better this week. Although, like, it's so weird, like, they're gonna go, like, on a last date, quote-unquote, kind of thing.
How I wish that they would just do the classic Who trope of having a companion who's on the TARDIS, and then the TARDIS it's deciding where to go button is broken, and so they can't escape, and so she's just stuck there.
Yeah, or it would be really cool, actually, if they had a companion who had a really, really sucky life. That, the doctor was like, travel with me, and he or she was like, actually, yeah, that would be really great, because I have a really sucky life that I never want to return to.
Well, that's pretty much what happened with Amy and Donna-ish. With Amy, not so much Amy. In the first episode, yeah, it seemed like that, and then it turned out to not be. And it was more so with Donna, but it's the sort of trope that they have done they haven't really embraced, and they're like, we gotta do something different, with the companion every single time to make it, different for all the other companions, and I'm like, Just have the companion be stuck with the Doctor. It's so much simpler.
I mean, it was okay with Rose because Rose would go off for like a really long time and be like, "Oh, I hope my mom and like my kind of boyfriend are okay." And then they'd go back for a bit and there'd be drama, and she'd be like, "But I have to go because that's what I do. So bye." And I was like, "All right, that's fine." But it just seems that it's always got to be about your Doctor real life balance, and that's not what we're here to see. I mean,
Yeah.
it does help the audience feel more like, oh, this is a companion I can relate to because I also have a job and things and stuff. But at the same time, I think it makes it worse.
I just not fond of it. Goo, boo, hiss, old who better, grr. But overall, the episode it was good. It really should have been a two-parter though. They're all like, "We're stuck here with the train. We got the mummies killing people at regular intervals, and the train's apparently been going on for about an hour because the mummy is killing people every 3 minutes."
We never found out who Gus was, and I was so ready for quote-unquote Gus to be, a machination of the Missy.
Well, the camp guy at the end of the caretaker who was working for Missy.
Yeah.
He was called Seb something, and if you freeze frame on like this letter of recommendation or commendation given to the guy in charge of the train, it was actually signed Seb. It's that guy.
Oh, okay.
Not really sure why, but apparently that's the connection.
See, I don't know. Some issues that I have where it's like, oh, someone has locked you somewhere until you figure a thing out that the person wants you to find out. But if it had the resources to do that, couldn't it have figured it out itself?
It depends. It's a trope I've seen a lot of things let me see.
Well, it's an old sci-fi trope. I mean, it's not new by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, even Christian Exploitation did a version of it in the Genius Club. And there was the Pythagoras Code, there's something like that.
This Island Earth?
No.
Way back.
Oh yeah, but there was also I think it was called the Pythagoras Code or something. It was about Fermat's Room, that was it. Fermat's Room. My main problem, it should have been a two-parter. We should have had a more of a sense of time passing, and we should have had other characters doing something. Most of the extra scientists there
didn't even have speaking parts.
Were set decoration, and the way that you had people getting killed with a monster. Only 2 of them actually were talking to the Doctor and giving information, but none of the information they gave was actually used by the Doctor to work out shit.
And why was Perkins important? He was just an engineer, I guess.
He was all like friends with the Doctor, and he got stuck in that room.
But he wasn't a hologram, though.
Yep.
So I guess the crew was really real.
At least some of them.
At least the ones in the kitchen were.
If they'd done it as a two-parter, and they'd actually had, instead of the Doctor, fizzes himself with that thing and then works it out by himself in like 30 seconds, which is just ridiculous. That's a complete David Tennantism. That's the sort of thing the 10th Doctor did a lot. I would have much rather preferred if he had to put it together with the clues given by other people who had it happen to, and maybe have 3 or 4 people have it happen to him.
Well, the thing is that they won't do a two-parter unless it's like deep shit going down kind of thing.
I know, and the lack of two-parters is horrifying.
Horrifying?
Yeah, because...
You think you might be being a little bit hyperbolous there?
Not really.
Horrifying?
Yeah, because...
You're horrified?
Who works best when it's on a slow burn, when it's got its concept as being explored properly? With New Who, it's like, we got this idea, bang, finished, ha ha ha, on to the next idea. It's part of the reason that New Who is, in my opinion, the guys who are in charge of it have such a tendency to burn out. Because they take 3 times the concepts that were used in one story in Classic Who, a story which might be 45 minutes, or it might be about 6 hours long, and it jams them together randomly in a 45-minute period, and they got to come up with a bunch of them for a season.
All right, that's a good point, I guess.
Yeah, and for this one, I did like that the Doctor pointed out that it wasn't an exact replica because they were all wearing 1920s stuff, and
this guy with like a steampunk thing walks through.
Yeah, but plus the Orient Express started in like 1840 or 1860, and they were all 1920s, so they weren't quite a replica of the original.
Although I did like the jazz era cover of Queen.
That was good.
I was like, is that going to be available for download somewhere? Because
It was a better use of a famous Earth thing than the Titanic was, because that was like aliens sort of recreating it for some reason to visit Earth, even though they're not going to be seen by Earth, so they're dressing like they're from Earth. It made no sense. This one, it's like, this is a retro thing. It's like a recreation of a famous ship that is crewed by people who look like pirates and all, and they tour around. It was like that, but as a tourist thing.
There is precedent, at least in the audio dramas, for that kind of tourism. Because I forget which Doctor it's an adventure for, but there's one where they're on this thing that's supposed to recreate, oh, look, the drama between Rassilon and Omega, look. Worked out for your amusement, but of course something goes wrong. I think it was the Master, but I don't remember.
It was him, the Master, the whole time.
It's always the Master.
The Golden Hind, which was Sir Francis Drake's ship, it was rebuilt and recreated, and it sails around, and it's quite often on tour in the UK, and people can go and visit it.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Fully
well, if we ever in the city where it is.
Okay.
But, fully functional, 15th century, sail ship recreated. And this is the sort of, this I felt was similar idea. It's like, we recreated the old thing. And for humans in the future to do it, fine. Aliens to do the Titanic made no fucking sense.
Yeah. I like that. Well, she was over 100 years old. People die. That's like Jessica Fletcher saying, well, people do die from time to time. But around you, people die a lot more often. Now, what did you think about the thing at the end where she's like, yeah, that's it. Oh, wait, no, I changed my mind. Oh, yeah, Doctor, totally, I'm going to lie to you again because that never gets old.
I think they're setting Clara up for a fall.
What makes you think that? Your writer's intuition?
Yeah, she's lied to Danny. She yelled at the Doctor for being amoral. She called him sort of for being addicted to danger and stuff. Then she lies to Darius so she can continue on. Mm-hmm. So she's at best being a hypocrite in that scene.
You know what? Like Amy was the girl who waited. You know, Clara's the girl who lied. Oh, you can quote me on that.
Dun, dun, dun.
But she was better this time. I mean, and I don't know why. I mean, again, she knows enough of the Doctor's history that she's telling pretty much every NPC they encounter. But then she's like, I can't believe you do something, like, morally gray. Really, babe? Really? Seriously?
The Mummy itself, okay. If you go back to the Big Bang, the season finale for season 5, mm-hmm. The Doctor is in the TARDIS and receives a phone call from Her Majesty, who is talking about an Egyptian goddess who has escaped and attacking people on the Orient Express in space. And then in this one, you have the Mummy on the Orient Express in space, and then he comments that Gus had been trying to get his attention to make him go on the train for a while.
Oh yeah, they do say that a lot of people have been dying. Like a lot of ships have, Why do people still keep going on this cruise liner, train, whatever company it is, if their ships keep dying?
I don't know, but...
Once you could cover up, but no.
I get the feeling that this is supposed to be the callback to the thing with the 11th Doctor, but they don't actually make sense lined up beside each other. Yeah. Because the Doctor has no idea what's what's happening on the Orient Express. Whenever he arrives, he just knows something's going on. 11 knew exactly what was going on. It was an Egyptian goddess, not a mummy. There had been people dying in other things by the same people, but nothing to do with the Orient Express. It's the Doctor comments that Gus had phoned him to try and get him to go on the thing, but it was Her Majesty. They were trying to make this a sequel to a throwaway line from season 5, and they just completely failed in lining up. It's like a microcosm of Stephen Moffat's of his entire era. It's like Stephen Moffat screaming, "It makes sense! It makes sense! It's like you're too stupid if you don't see it. It makes total sense. These are the same thing. There's nothing wrong with the continuity."
So I was a little bit confused at the end. So basically, the Mummy was a soldier from an ancient was with malfunctioning technology that drove it to try to kill people who are near its flag?
Possibly. It was a very David Tennant-ish finale.
And then he's like, "We surrender." And the soldier's like, "All right, cool. I can dissolve now."
Yeah. Leaps of logic that don't actually make much sense and are completely disconnected from any evidence that they've seen, but it somehow works even though the motivations of the Mummy make no sense at all.
Yeah.
And what it's doing, it's the sort of thing that might have made sense if they'd had like another part to flesh it out, to show how the Doctor's working this shit out or everything. And this one is just like, no, I gotta take her word for it. It makes sense. Again, a microcosm of the Stephen Moffat era.
It ended and everything was fine. Hooray!
Unless the Doctor killed everyone.
No. That was really great. He's like, no, I just rescued you, let everyone else suffocate.
Ha 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 ha. If New Who had been based on this sort of template, it would be a far better series.
Like, you mean like little teeny episodes where things and stuff happen? That's not connected to a larger thing?
No, going for modern-day Philip Hinchcliffe idea of horror sort of tropes and ideas.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, this is the best episode of New Who since, I want to say at least partway through season 7, possibly earlier.
So it met your rather exacting standards?
Yeah, whenever I finally do my list of New Who episodes that aren't shit, this is going on the list.
Psh.
Oh, the next episode is by the same writer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the 2D Flatland-inspired one.
Yeah, you know what? I read something online that it was inspired by Flatland, which I read when I was far too young to really understand it. And so I look back on it like, oh my god, that was so boring and confusing and horrible. But everybody, I encourage you to read it, because it is, one of like those greats of science fiction that you should read.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I've seen some clips
and
from it.
And it's short, too.
Okay, there's this bit in the trailer, one of the trailers, where the Doctor is trapped in the TARDIS, and the TARDIS on the exterior has shrunk.
Mm-hmm.
So he's stuck on the inside, and he's just looking out and trying to give stuff to Clara so she can do stuff on the outside. The door has become like just smaller than Capaldi's face. And he's like, yelling at her and stuff. But she is clearly holding a toy TARDIS, and like they badly put some green screen material in there and then CGI'd in Capaldi's face, which looks terrible because his face looks flat. It looks like a TV screen.
Oh.
And then they have to keep cutting to side shots as he's like giving her the sonic screwdriver and everything. It would be so much more technically difficult, yet make much more sense if they had the tiny TARDIS. But they had set up this sort of rig that you had a massive green screen tent around the TARDIS, the main TARDIS, and Capaldi was behind the green screen tent, looking out, attached to the toy TARDIS. So it looked like he was inside the toy TARDIS, and then you remove the backdrop of the green screen. It would look so much better than what they did, but it would be much more complicated. But yeah, Mummy is good. Stunt casting was fairly pointless, though, because the guy who played Perkins, he's like a fairly famous British stand-up comic, and I'm just like, okay, he's a big Doctor Who fan, good for him.
Hey, no, come on, he did a good job, and he probably was really excited to be on Doctor Who. Be nice.
Oh, he was, and he wasn't as terrible as other ones expecting. It's just distracting. It's like it's the equivalent of
distracting because famous people are dead. That's silly.
No, it's because famous people who are stand-up comics. Imagine you're watching it, and then suddenly Chris Rock played like an engineer.
That's fine. I mean,
It's distracting when they're stand-up comic. This must be like how the Australians felt when Eric Bana became a big Hollywood actor because he was a stand-up comic in Australia.
It would be cool if Sue Perkins turned up.
I'd be fine with that.
Just be like, no, Doctor was to meet the whole time.
Plus, Frank Skinner doesn't have much experience in acting.
Well, he did an okay job. I mean, be nice.
I didn't think he did a bad job. It's a bit like the guy in Curse of Fenric, who played the priest. I forget his name. He was Nicholas Parsons. He was like a light entertainment sort of quiz show host, and then suddenly he does a quite good job in Curse of Fenric. It's just distracting when you know them from the other context.
Okay.
And the old lady who died at the start.
Uh-huh.
She played an evil old lady who died horribly in Curse of Fenric as well.
Dun dun dun.
That is that's her thing.
I like to die on Doctor Who.
I like to be horrible and die. Yeah, she actually died very soon. So in Curse of Fenric, the vampires killed you pretty much the same way as the mummy here. So she's like, not again.
I'm really good at this. Watch, I'll do it again. That's all we have time for the Doctor this week. But yeah, it was a good episode. I liked it. But now it's time for the part of the show that we couldn't get rid of, even though we tried so very hard. It's Giovanni's trivia question. And Giovanni, are you with us today?
Yeah, boss, here I am. I have to say, I am very, very disappointed in the entirety of our listening audience.
Hey, don't say that, or they'll downvote us on Tick-O-Tick.
No, seriously, boss. So, I thought I'd give you a lowball question. This is something that happened like a few years ago. Everybody knows about this. So I'm going to give you one more week, because I know that there's someone out there who is not their cork who might know the answer. So former President Clinton went on a game show called Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, and he had to answer questions about pop culture. And this is a very recent pop culture thing that's happening. It's still going on. He answered 3 questions correctly about what thing. And this was like everywhere. I heard it being talked about like on NPR. So if I've heard about it, and I'm sure you've heard about it. If you're the first person to get it, when this episode goes up on Blip, tweet at the Omega Geek and let her know. And then I will not have to admonish you all next week and think of something harder that probably doesn't involve like Americans or mammals. So watch it. But anyway, my adoring radio public, it was still adore me after that. I will see you all next time.
Wow, he's pissed.
How can he, like, make clicky noises as he goes away when he's made of plush?
Because he's a lobster.
Yeah, but he's made of plush.
It's endemic.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's been us for this week. I've been the Omega Geek, and honey, who do you want to have been this week?
Frank Skinner's inappropriate casting.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Good night, everybody.